My brother made a post falsely accusing me of abusing him and our parents. I found something he wrote back in January 2021 when my parents kicked me and my partner out during the height of COVID, before vaccines were available to me. I want to discuss this because it shows how siblings can deceive themselves and others about the scapegoat in the family. I moved back in with my parents in April 2018, long before January 2021, after my boyfriend at the time held me hostage and tried to kill me. This happened after almost a year of severe physical and emotional abuse. We had been dating for about a year and a half. Also, I didn't move in my new boyfriend right away. I started dating my current partner soon after my breakup, and it was a bit chaotic. I talked about it with my therapist, who was initially cautious but eventually supported the relationship because it was healthy. We took things slowly to ensure I was mentally okay. Despite my feelings, my mom asked my partner to move in after we had only been dating for 4 months. I wasn't ready, but he ended up moving in a few months later, at the end of 2018 or early 2019, when I felt more comfortable. By the end of 2019, my parents also had my partner pay rent, so he was paying rent when my brother wrote his post. Additionally, we weren't living in a garage. We were in a large studio apartment with a big bedroom and an attached bathroom, the laundry room connected to the house, and you had to go up 3 steps to get to the kitchen. My parents have a separate 3-car garage, so I don't understand why he lied about that. We also weren't doing hard drugs or drinking excessively. During family dinners, my mom liked to share a bottle of wine, but my partner and I didn't get drunk. Sometimes I drank a bit more with my mom, and we both got tipsy, but it wasn't excessive. We didn't stay up all night and sleep all day. I had just transferred to UCLA for the 2020-21 school year and was attending classes remotely in January 2021. I was taking 20 credits, which was the most I had ever taken at once. Most of my classes required me to attend with cameras on, which was tough when my parents cut off the internet. I got a mobile hotspot through a program that UCLA offered during COVID, which helped a lot. Before the lockdowns, my partner worked full-time as a bartender, mostly during the mornings at a hotel bar. I was busy with school, and my partner mostly kept me company while I attended classes. So, my brother is right that we didn't spend a lot of time in the main house with my family. I don't smoke cigarettes, but my partner does. He would step out to the edge of the property, which is in the middle of a field, to smoke and always disposed of his cigarette butts in the bin my parents put out for the garbage truck. Interestingly, my brother used to smoke too, even after quitting. He often asked my partner for cigarettes when he was at our parents' house. It's absurd for my brother to say I've taken advantage of my parents. They only paid my rent once for 3 months when I was 19, trying to make amends after kicking me out at 17 while I was still in high school. We didn't speak for over a year after that. Meanwhile, my parents have always paid my brother's rent because he's the favored child. I can't even remember the last time he had a job. Regarding the manipulative or abusive behavior my brother claims I displayed, I honestly don't recall ever planning dinner with my parents and not showing up. It's possible it happened while I was with my abusive ex, but I don't remember it. I think I canceled brunch once at the last minute, but my parents have canceled on me too. They weren't very reliable about anything in my life. As for my brother saying I screamed at him when I was late for something, I know we argued when I visited him in 2019, but there was no screaming involved. At that time, I was taking remote summer classes. I was also dealing with court issues related to the criminal case against my ex, which was really stressful. My brother wanted me to visit because he said he was feeling depressed and missed me, so I traveled out of state to see him for almost a week. However, he kept coming to the Airbnb where my partner and I were staying hours before our agreed meeting time. I was busy working on school assignments and communicating with the assistant DA about the case. He got mad that I wasn't ready to go out, even though he came over hours early. For example, he would show up at 10 a.m. when we were supposed to meet at 3 p.m. Remember, I had just escaped a very bad breakup where my ex tried to kill me. After escaping, I ended up in the hospital because my ex had smashed my phone with a hammer. I needed to call someone for a ride, and since I didn't have my aunt's number memorized, I called my mom to get it for me. She said she'd call my aunt and not to worry, which annoyed me a bit since I just wanted my aunt's number. My ex had strangled me multiple times, causing me to lose consciousness and suffer a severe concussion, so I didn't remember much from that time. I wasn't trying to fix my relationship with my parents. They were pretty aggressive about me moving back in with them. I didn't expect them to show up, because it wasn't the first time they found out about my ex's abuse. The last time they said they would come, they didn't actually show up. After moving back in, I started therapy within 3 weeks and was diagnosed with severe PTSD. Yes, I sometimes had panic attacks, but that was because I had been severely abused for a long time. The DA charged my ex with torture, kidnapping, and several other violent felonies because of what he did to me. During that weekend, I was working hard to improve my mental health and felt I was making great progress. It's really frustrating for my brother to make it seem like I was being abusive or hostile when I needed to step away to manage my panic attacks or flashbacks. My brother and I had been going through a rough patch in our relationship because he was often uncaring and selfish. He never asked me how I was handling the court situation and was just focused on himself. While we were having family dinners most nights, we got into an argument about a social justice issue, which I'll simplify for now. I was telling my brother that no one deserves to be homeless because he was advocating for a family to lose their house. It felt really strange, and I got overwhelmed and needed to walk away. As I left, he made a snide remark saying I didn't care enough about our relationship. My partner got angry on my behalf and told my brother he was being ridiculous as we walked down the stairs to the laundry room. This made my brother very angry, and I later learned that he was likely detoxing after a months-long crack and heroin binge and was only a couple of weeks clean. He then started yelling at my partner for disrespecting him in his house, even though my brother didn't live there anymore and my partner did. My dad was there encouraging the argument while my partner kept telling my brother to calm down and that he didn't want to engage. My brother then called my partner a slur. When my mom walked in and asked what was happening, my partner stepped away as soon as my brother got in his face. My parents had told me I could stay, but my partner had to go, so my brother is wrong about them wanting us both out. My dad didn't like my partner because he helped me see how toxic their behavior was, which made me more confident and independent. My dad hated that. I also have outside confirmation of their toxic behavior. At the start of the COVID lockdowns, my therapist suggested I move out because my parents weren't good for my mental health. This shocked me because I didn't think I had ever told her anything negative about them. I even told my parents they were as good as dead to me, and my dad responded by saying they could actually die from COVID. To which I said I wouldn't care if they did. I stand by that. They have been so abusive to me my whole life. After I left, they put my dog down. She was older but didn't need to be put down, and they wouldn't let me take her. I'll never forgive them for that. It's really messed up because they got a new dog that looks a lot like her and keeps sending me pictures, even though I've been no contact since they kicked us out. My brother is also leaving out some key details. He once told me he hoped my current partner would abuse me when we moved out. And I responded by saying I hoped he would die of an overdose. Then he told me he hoped I would kill myself. I'm not saying I handled everything perfectly. I was very emotional and volatile, but I had reasons to be. They took the doors off our room, turned off our water for days, and wouldn't let us access our food. These conversations happened while I was trying to pack my things from my childhood bedroom, and my brother was standing in the doorway verbally berating me. While visiting for Christmas, my brother had moved into the main part of the house and stayed in a storage room connected to our bathroom. He blasted electronic music 24/7 for several days, and while his room was locked, it had a sliding glass door, so we could see. He pointed the speakers directly at our room. It was clearly meant to make it harder for us to sleep, talk, or for me to study. I couldn't turn my mic on during any of my classes, and my brother only turned it off when we called the cops, twice. The "look at how this is affecting mom" comment came while he was throwing my packed things at me, and I was crying, asking him to just leave me alone. At that point, my partner and I were completely packed, except for a few items stored in the garage. My parents had promised to get those down from the rafters, but they refused to do it until the next day, even though we already had the U-Haul packed and an Airbnb rented. That's why we called the cops again. They were withholding my belongings and stopping us from leaving. The only pattern here is that my parents kicked me out as a kid and did it again recently. I had never said anything as hurtful as what I said during this incident. I was just done with being treated badly. I stand by my feeling that they are all dead to me. My extended family supports my decision to cut ties with them. My brother claiming I have no friends is really hurtful and untrue. I lost some friends during my abusive relationship, which is common in those situations. Plus, my brother doesn't have many friends either, so he's in no position to judge. I don't live in my own world and have never lied to him, so I don't understand why he calls me a compulsive liar. I don't think he knows what sociopath means either. He also asked if I tell my parents they need to let her go. I've been trying to have a relationship with my mom for years, but it's always been toxic. My mom just wants our family to be okay, and she's really hurt by all of this. I'm trying to figure out my best option in this situation. I've never heard someone say such horrible things to a loved one. Before all this, I had stopped talking to my brother for about a year because I was hurt by how he treated me. Just 2 weeks before everything happened, he apologized for being selfish and not being there for me during the stuff with my ex. I later found out from my aunt that he probably reached out because his girlfriend of about 4 years broke up with him. In our relationship, he always expected me to be his therapist, which seems to be a pattern. Sorry for the long post. I hope pointing out all the ways this is wrong might help me stay no contact.